The goal of this space is to present our latest strategy that we've built in partnership with Babylon Finance as a garden. So maybe what we could start by doing is let Ramon introduce Babylon Finance and explain how garden works, and then we'll take it off with what we did as basically infrastructure to get the yield that's coming from the garden.
Thank you. Yeah. First, a little bit about Babylon. We're building Babylon to help people invest as a group in DeFi. So Babylon provides the infrastructure to create these investment clubs that we call gardens, so people can invest in DeFi with their family, with their community, with their coworkers, and every one of these gardens can have like a totally different investment thesis, totally different risk profile, and totally different time horizon. So the idea is like by investing in different gardens, you create a portfolio that suits your personal investment thesis. And for example, today we just launched publicly one of our main gardens, that is the Fountain of ETH, where people can deposit ETH and grow it through different strategies. The cool thing about our gardens is like they are managed by different DeFi experts. Unlike hedge funds, where you have a 220 and you rely on a single person that is managing it, you have it's like a DAO that is like community based on governance. So you have this lightweight model of governance where members of the investment club need to approve all the strategies in order to receive capital. For users, the main benefits of Babylon are four. First is like we minimize the gas for users. So because, for example, if you need to deposit into Curve and then you need to stake the LP tokens on Convex, then that will cost you like $300-400. But if you are doing this with other people in a garden, then the garden is going to do this for 100 people at once. So instead of spending $400, you will spend $3-4. Then another benefit is that the gardens also consolidate all your transactions into just one taxable transaction. Depends on your tax jurisdiction, and this is not tax advice, but a garden may do inside of it like hundreds of DeFi transactions, but for you, the withdrawal is potentially the only taxable transaction. Then it's also a way to learn about DeFi through different experts and get started on this learning journey. And finally, you also get to own a piece of Babylon by joining these gardens, because Babylon is distributing 50% of the total token supply of BABL, that is only 1 million, and is giving it up for users in the next 10 years, and is giving it to the users that create the most value, that generate the most wealth for others. I know this is a lot of things, so we have a lot of documentation, a lot of guides in our site, and we also are really active on Discord. So if you have any questions, please let us know. And I think now we are really excited about sharing one of our first partner gardens and about this collaboration with Paladin. So I think it would be great if you can talk a little bit about what is Paladin and what is this strategy to get the most yield out of Aave.
Yeah, for sure. So Paladin is a governance management protocol. Right now, we essentially do vote lending in the sense that we created a new money Lego by enabling people who had governance tokens that were not using them to vote to extract yield from this by just selling the vote. So roughly, we have two functional pools right now, one that is the Uni pool and one that is the Aave pool. We have a second dApp that iterated on the Curve ecosystem. But what we've created right now was basically something that looks like a vault. It's what we call a garden in Babylon Finance that enables people to reach up to 30% of APY on their Aave. So why we liked a lot Babylon is that it simplifies a lot of the logic that most DeFi users actually have to do, the mental gymnastics to get to a certain yield. Our current strategy, what it does, is that you're basically wrapping your Aave into stake Aave. This gives you around 7% of 6.5% of APY. Then what you do is that you deposit it into Paladin, so that APY auto compounds, it reaches 7. we have roughly 11% of liquidity mining directly in this contract. And then on top of that, what you do is that you deposit it as LP into a curve pool between Aave and Stake Aave, our wrapper that is deposited. The good news is that there cannot be really impermanent loss, because if you look at it this way, Stake Aave is correlated directly to Stake Aave. It's just an auto-compounding Aave token. So it's very interesting, because it means on top of that, you're also getting the fees from Curve, the swap fees. And soon we're basically going to be able to, I don't know when, but pretty soon, to add the Paladin liquidity mining on top of this. Plus, maybe once we get enough traction, the CRV liquidity mining by getting a gauge elected. That's something we're really excited about doing. And what's cool about that is that it basically means that it's one of the most stacked yield opportunities in crypto, without any impermanent loss or without any leverage. The only thing you're stacking is eventually smart contract risk, which I think is very interesting, because all of the protocols we're going through are battle tested and audited, all of them. So that's really cool. And what's even better is that if you don't take in leverage, it's the highest APY for Aave today. So we haven't marketed it enough, because right now the APY is marketed as the performance of the pool, and it takes into account the price of Aave, if I'm not mistaken. But once we add the PAL liquidity mining, we would be at something, I don't know how high the BABL liquidity mining is, but something like 35% APY, which is extremely important. It's a really high, so we're super excited to work with Babylon on this.
Yeah, same here. And on top of all that deal that you get with the safety module, with the Carve LP fees, then you also get the gauge, and then you also get the bubble mining rewards, and then if we can get the gauge selected, then it's even. And besides all that, this is a great opportunity to use your Aave if you are constructive on Aave for the long term. Because obviously this is not investment advice, but a lot of DeFi projects, a lot of blue chip DeFi tokens have been hammered because of the bear market. So if you are already holding Aave, if you're already constructive on Aave on the long term, it's a no-brainer to deposit and have it working for you. And as he said, it's going to be like the highest yield on mainnet.
Yeah, that's why I think it's super interesting. And the reason why Babylon is so powerful in our sense is that we are aware that what we've been building with Paladin can create some complex strategies. So it's really good, because for a savant, advanced DeFi user, they can benefit a lot from this. But we're very frustrated that even when we minimize risk a lot, like in this strategy, some less advanced users are kind of gated to use it because of gas costs, but also because of the complexity of the different numbers of protocols you need to do. So we're extremely excited to partner with Babylon, because we think it can become a gateway, at least for us, to implement complex strategies and to execute them directly for Garden. That means that less advanced user can directly deposit into a Garden, like, for example, the Aave Oasis that we just mentioned, and benefit from the full breadth of Paladin. And as the same as Babylon, today we're also giving shares of Paladin to people who are basically depositing.
Yeah, just to build on top of that, using Babylon, now users can deposit gas-free. We have developed this technology to allow for gasless deposits, so you only need to approve your token. It's the only transaction that you need to pay with gas and Ether, and it's a super cheap transaction, and then you can just deposit Aave without spending ETH, which we think is pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure. So on our part, and that's to be honest, that's something we haven't talked with Ramon, but we intend to create more Garden as we scale on different tokens and the different strategies we will have. So right now we're focusing entirely on the marketing and growing this pool, because it is still quite small, because we haven't been hammering enough how big the APY is. But as we will grow, we intend to keep building with Babylon, because we think this ability to create a multi-layered composable gardens is extremely powerful. Today, if I'm not mistaken, the pool is getting us quadruple yield, so on 4 different layers. So the state safety module, the curve fees, the Babylon liquidity mining, and the Paladin fees. And very soon it's going to have it on 5 layers with the Paladin liquidity mining on top. And in a few weeks, it should have also the CRV mining on top. So we're basically stacking 5 to 6 different yields, which is extremely, well, this is how you get complex and high yields on the long term, I feel, for crypto. So I'm super excited about this. I don't know how far we could go around this. Is there something you want to add, Ramon?
No, it's basically we are offering all this deal to users, and users only need to basically sign a transaction on MetaMask, which is really cool. In the end, we are all here both of us, Paladin and Babylon, we believe that crypto is like the place that is going to have the most growth in the next 2 decades. You know, in the short term, in the medium term, the market may go up, down, sideways. We don't know, and nobody knows. And if someone tells you otherwise, please run away as fast as you can. But we believe crypto is the only free market left, and in the long term, it's going to have the most growth. And we want to give as many people as possible the opportunity to enjoy the benefits of crypto in the easiest way possible. And that's why what Rick was mentioning is, accessing all these different yields through just one simple user action is key. And for the future, right now, this Paladin Garden has this strategy that is the Palestake Aave that we are talking about. But then, this garden could grow, and then it could be just an all Paladin Garden where it has one strategy for Aave, one strategy for Uni, or it could even be different gardens, because Babylon has this 2 abstraction layer, as I mentioned before, where you have like the community that is like the garden, and it's like an investment club where people deposit funds, and then within this construct, within the garden, then members can choose to create different strategies, and each of these strategies can be as complex as the one we are talking about today, or it can be as simple as just lending stuff on Aave or Compound or a Fuse book. So we're really happy about all the composability options that we have for the future. There is also a possibility that you could have like 3 or 4 gardens, or Paladin could also have 3 or 4 gardens, and then they could have like a meta garden to create kind of like index exposure for all these activities, or they can do it within one garden, or they can do it through several. It's like the amount of possibilities that we have is endless. And also another cool thing is like when you invest in the Aave Oasis garden, you get the garden token, and it's also a full ERC compatible token that then eventually you can also create a carve pool with this garden token and peg to Aave or peg to something else, or just integrate it into other yield platforms like Pickle or Yen. So you could even create more yield or use your garden token as collateral down the road.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. It means that people have much more optionality if they deposit through the Babylon Garden. So what we've said to our user is, if you feel complex enough and you want to optimize to the grain and have enough to move around in terms of gas, feel free to use directly Paladin. But if you want really to just deposit Aave and you're looking for a safe Aave strategy, please use the Babylon Garden. It's going to be the most efficient strategy by far. And we've been talking and kind of chilling around Paladin, right? But this is true for almost all of the gardens you guys have opened. Namely, I think you just opened the Fountain of ETH, right? Is it this one that you just opened?
Yeah, today we just opened the Fountain of ETH. That is our biggest garden, and it's basically a place where you can grow your ETH gas free. And the main strategy right now of this garden is a 3x STETH strategy. That what it does is like it uses Aave as well to lend STETH, which is the Lido staking protocol, and then borrows WETH, and then converts that WETH into STETH and lends it again, and then the STETH is used to borrow more WETH, and it does this loop like 4 times to achieve 3x leverage. The cool thing is like STETH and WETH are both pegged to each other, basically similar to Palestake Aave that we were mentioning before. So there is there is little liquidation risk unless massive catastrophe happens on Lido and STETH loses the peg with WEF, which is unlikely. So right now, the Garden of ETH is a great place to grow your Ether, then minimize your gas cost to almost zero, then also consolidate and minimize potentially your taxable transactions, and also learning from the DeFi experts that are managing it. What are the best strategies in case later you want to do stuff by yourself or you want to create your own garden? Because as he said, we tell the same thing. If you have infinite money and infinite time, it's probably the best would be an infinite knowledge. The best would be for you to do all the transactions and all the investments by yourself. You don't need anything because that would be the most efficient. But of course, if you don't want to be 24/7 catching up on all DeFi, it's better to just rely on some experts that can take care of that for you, and then also simplify a lot of these transactions, and also potentially make your taxes a lot simpler for you to file. And then in this case, you will get also to earn a piece of Babylon, because this is one of the really cool things that Web3 enables. In Web2, like Facebook, a lot of people were early users of Facebook and created a lot of value, but they didn't get any of that upside. They didn't get any value. The cool thing about all these Web3 protocols is that users become owners. It's like they are getting a stake on the protocol, and they are getting part of the value they are creating.
I think because we've been talking about giving stake of the protocol, which is a bit more general to Web3 in general, could we maybe talk about a bit more how BABL works, as a governance token, not just purely in terms of governance, but how you're distributing it through the different gardens, how people who are going to deposit into the Aave Oasis are going to benefit from this, and if it has underlying utility beyond that.
Perfect. Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you for the question. To start, BABL is a finite supply token. There is only 1 million, and half of it has been allocated to these mining rewards that last for 10 years. And the purpose of this program is to give BABL to the users that are creating the most wealth for others. So the Aave Oasis gardens or other gardens are going to get every quarter for every strategy prorated returns based on the wealth they create, the percentage of returns, then how long has the strategy been running, and how many members are in the garden. So those are all the parameters of the mining program. And this makes 50% of all the token supply. Then we also have another almost 20% for the community. And then the rest was for the initial seed round and 10% for the team. So regarding the utility of the token first is a governance token. So lets you vote on governance and lets you also handle the treasury. Because the protocol takes only 2 fees. And I think they are pretty small compared with all the other competitors out there. The protocol takes 0.5% management fee of all the capital allocated to strategies, and then 5% of the profits if there are any. So this is already one token economic that is like, okay, the token has control over the fees, and now all these fees are going to the heart, that is this complex staking mechanic that we released 1 month ago now, 1 or 2 months ago, that basically has like 10 or 11 token mechanics that we got inspired from the best of DeFi. For example, is similar to Sushi has a claim on all the fees of the protocol. Then similar to VE, CRV, you can lock your BABL tokens for a specific amount of time to get voting rights, because using the heart, you can vote on our on-chain governance system gas-free as well. Then to simplify and be quick, the heart basically, with all the fees it captures from the protocol, it does 4 things. It buybacks BABL to create long-term sustainability. Then it also adds liquidity to our Uniswap pair to add more trading depth. Then it also invests in some of our gardens, some of these proceeds, based on what gardens our hard stakers prefer to direct monies in, similar to how Curve or how Tokamak works. And then finally, we also have a fuse pool where people can use BABL as collateral. So that's another use case that people can use with BABL if they are constructive on the long term, but they need cash. They can just lend it on the fuse pool and borrow some DAI. And finally, the heart is a bit more complex. It's also a garden in itself. So it also runs strategies where it lends BABL and borrows DAI from it to generate yield and generate more BABL for BABL stakers. That's a lot. There is a lot of documentation in our site. And if you have any questions, you are always free to ask on our Discord, and we are friendly. I hope that answered the question.
Yeah, for sure. These are actually quite complex tokenomics, which we love at Paladin, because this is where we can create different strategies and extract value for people who are not using it correctly to enable more efficiency, right? It's what we've been doing on Aave. It's what we've been working a lot on doing on Curve. And who knows, maybe one day we'll be able to have a garden for Curve, but it might be a bit more complicated because of locking. So there's all of these strategies that are evolving, and these tokenomics that are super interesting. Do you think we could call, like, if we say that a blockchain, let's say Ethereum is layer 1, that we had a Curve that could be, or Aave that could be a second layer, we'd have Paladin on top, which would be a third layer, and Babylon would be the fourth layer, right? It's almost like the interface of DeFi. Do you think we could say that?
Yes, that's how I see it. I mean, one of the ways also that we pitch Babylon is like InstaDApp, but for groups. That is like, it's a way for, so it's just an interface for people to invest in DeFi, but through communities instead of just going alone.
Yeah, and while the strategy right now it's controlled by the DAO, by the DAO multisig on the side of Paladin, we intend to open it up. And I think that what would be interesting, because as you mentioned, the goal is to enable people to just create their own investment club, is that we should be able, on the medium term, open sourcing these strategies, and let anyone create their own garden in Babylon and create their custom strategies from that. So they would just be able to use Paladin as a brick in their more or less complex strategies.
Yeah. One of the features that Babylon offers also is, like he mentioned, these communities can be run only by specific accounts. So you can have a whitelist for the accounts that can submit the strategies, or you can have it totally open, so every member can submit the strategies and every member can approve the strategies. Or you can do a hybrid model where only a few accounts can suggest the strategies, and then everyone can vote. Because we noticed that it's a learning process. You know, if you want to open it up, that is like the same thing we want to do for some of our gardens. First, we need to create enough community and teach them the process to create good strategies, so then eventually everyone can do it, and it will still be really good strategies for the members.
Yeah, that makes sense. So I think at least I've showed everything we wanted to do for now with this pool. For those who are just coming in, the Aave Oasis on Babylon is probably the highest yielding Aave. It's a garden, right? The Aave deposit place, so the vault. And we should be at around 30 or 35% APR. It's not showing right now, if I'm not mistaken, on the interface, but that's why we're doing this space, to basically show people how lucrative and actually risk reduced that tool is. Should we take questions from the audience and see what people have to ask about this?
Yeah, that would be great. Please let us know if you want to ask any questions.
Yeah, you can raise your hand. It's on the bottom left, if I'm not mistaken. And we're going to slowly wrap it up once the questions are done, I think.
Yeah, while we wait for questions from others, I would like to ask you in general about DeFi. How do you see the current market, and what is something that excites you besides Babylon and Paladin? You know, what's something that you are really interested in?
Oh man, that's a dangerous question, actually, because I keep seeing people going between bearish and bullish sentiment, right? In the sense that there's a lot of unspoken deals that are happening, a lot of projects who are releasing V2, V3, large partnerships that are happening. Even us, we're releasing a new dApp very soon, actually. So in a sense, in terms of building, I am very bullish because a lot of things are going to release. But if you look at the macro outsets, geopolitics, economics, it is not super bright. There's high inflation. So we're between crypto is doing really well and the world is doing really bad. So and even we have the merge that is coming, right? So it's kind of a weird place we're in. To be perfectly honest, I don't know what you think about this, and I would love to have your opinion. I kind of think that most of DeFi, especially DeFi 1.0, is kind of undervalued and unappreciated right now compared to the actual treasury and revenue streams they're actually creating. I would love to have your opinion on that.
Yeah, yeah, that's a great way to put it, and I fully agree because I mean, even not just DeFi one, I think in general, private valuations and private companies are way overvalued. You know, because I see crypto companies that are raising on 100 or 200 million valuation, and you see projects that are live, that they have TVL, they have a team, they have a working product, and their valuation is like $10 million, $20 million. So it's like there is a huge disconnect between the private rounds that are raised on hope and then the actual working products that are based on reality. And then regarding the macro, I agree with you. I think crypto is doing really well, but it's not going to escape the macro world. And I think it's likely that we have a crash, or I don't want to say a crash, but yeah, a recession or a downturn, and where stocks can dip 20-30% during the summer, and then eventually the central banks will be forced to do the only thing they know, that is like, okay, more QE, more printing, more fiscal stimulus, and then at that moment everything will switch on, still to risk on. So my best case is similar to Arthur Hayes, that he wrote a really good article recently that is a trap. And basically, the base case is like, okay, everything is gonna dip until the central banks basically switch course and stop with the highs, and then start stimulating the economy again, because they don't have any other choice, because there is a lot of debt. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, but I think crypto is a bit different, especially the large DeFi projects, in terms that a lot of people are thinking we're already quite undervalued. There is no way I'm selling. Like that's my case for Aave, and a lot of people have been talking about. I'm really comfortable in holding or buying Aave at $150 or $160 and yielding 30% passively. It can go down to $10, seeing how much revenue it's making. I think we're at over $50 million a year currently, and that's even without seeing how V3 is taking off. I'm really comfortable about this. So there is a big difference between holding dollars, which have a lot of inflation, holding some kind of shitcoin, and holding some things like ETH just before the merge, or Aave with V3 that is taking off, and being able to take a good 30%. Because don't forget that even if it's devaluing a bit, you're still taking 30% over inflation in terms of dollars. So I do think that DeFi is disconnected a bit in terms of all of this. Even though there's probably going to be a catch up, and I do think it's even more true for what we're building around with Paladin, in the sense that we're focused around the governance premium. So when you look at an asset, you're going to have the speculative premium. How much is someone ready to buy it because they think it's going to go to the moon? And then you have two other premiums, at least in my book. The governance premium, how much is someone ready to buy the token purely for its governance value? So if you look at CVX, for example, every CVX has 4.5 VCRV of underlying. So a CRV is worth $2.20 times 4.5, it's something at $10, right? That's kind of a governance floor. And if you're under that, it's worth buying and pumping back to $10 simply because you're getting a better deal than buying on CRV. Right now, it's at $30. So people are paying 2.5 more just for meta governance than if they just wanted to hold CRV tokens instead. So our job at Paladin is basically seeing that governance premium and making it more relevant, crystallizing it. And even if the world burns down, because these are immutable contracts and they are now creating value in a decentralized fashion, I do think that a lot of these governance protocols, and that especially the case for Aave, especially the case for Curve today, well, they are very resilient to that.
Yeah, no, I agree with you that there is a huge premium. Unfortunately, I think I disagree slightly that unfortunately, because humans are irrational, that if Bitcoin and Ethereum, because like in March 2020, if stocks dip 30-40%, then Bitcoin, unfortunately, even if it's student and Ethereum, then people are gonna just sell what they have around if they need to meet margin calls. So they will sell Bitcoin and Ethereum. Unfortunately, because all the other tokens are still kind of related to it, everything may dip down irrationally. But I'm not gonna, at these levels, as you mentioned, I'm totally comfortable holding many of these tokens, even if I could squeeze a bit more if there is a downturn. The risk of missing the way up or missing is a lot more. So I just the upside, the risks, the asymmetric upside is still a lot more than the downside. So like you, I'm perfectly comfortable, and I hope you're right that we don't even get the downturn, even if the stock market crashes. We kind of don't dip that much, and we'll see. Let's see if we have any questions. If not, I think we can probably wrap it up.
It seems we don't, but that's totally okay. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I've got to throw in a comment because talk about the macro and the markets is always interested me. I mean, a lot of us have been in the space, before the 2018 bear, the really bad winter times, and yeah, I mean, so far as things have played out, the summertime is usually always the slowest time, not only for the market, the traditional, but also in crypto. I mean, that's also just because, hey, humans, people are also taking vacations. That's just how things usually work. And the markets at large in crypto have received a lot of criticism by saying, hey, if inflation is so high, why isn't Ethereum keeping up? Why isn't DeFi keeping up? What's this? So it's a combination of that criticism from the mainstream, but also just like how Bitcoin has become more mainstream over the past few years. I think in the general DeFi sense, Ethereum is still at large. How should I say it? A lot of people still may be ignorant of Ethereum, but also of the DeFi market in general, because you got to keep in mind that we're speaking about a small slice of the overall crypto market and the space. So, just a matter of the education, breaking things down, help convince people that saying, hey, you shouldn't trust the big banks. You should be going into more of the decentralized route. And of course, what we're doing in the case of Paladin with governance, and convince people that that is a better way and more transparent way to conduct those systems as well. So, but yeah, as Figue and Ramon said, we'd love to open the floor to questions.
Thank you, Alejandro. Cool. Yeah. I think we don't have any questions. So yeah, you can find out more about Paladin. You can follow Alejandro or Figue, or you can follow their company account at Paladin DAO. And then for Babylon, the same. You can follow me, or you can follow Babylon Finance. We have a Discord channel as well. Is there any other place where you could direct people to learn more about Paladin?
So the main resources that we have are, of course, our Twitter is the main window. Of course, Discord would be the second. We had just had a few months ago our website revamp, and there are other things coming up in the future in terms of education. That's all I can say. But in that regard, yeah, the best way to get involved would be our Discord. We have our bounty system as well, so you can also earn PAL, not just through, of course, using our apps, but also through the bounties. But just learning about governance in general. We love this conversations. We have an active conversation going on right now in the discourse as well, through Discord, on our liquidity mining adjustment. So yeah, and I'm sure, Ramon, there's a lot of similar talk on Babylon. I see your Discord as well, very active.
Thank you, Alejandro. Yeah, if you want to know more about Babylon, if you want to invest in DeFi together with a community, please join our Discord and check our website. It's been a great chat. Thank you both. Thank you everyone for tuning in. We'll do more of this in the future. Take care.
Yeah. Thank you very much. It was super nice. See you.
Bye.
Thank you, guys.